Good morning, and thank you for joining us for another Wednesday press conference. I'm Steve Fishback with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department Public Affairs Division, and today we're going to speak about a series of heinous events that took place here in early September, but more importantly, how the CMPD worked together across divisions, from shift patrol to division detectives to detectives here at the Law Enforcement Center, to all work together, come together, and stop what could have turned out to be potentially an even worse situation. So here with us to start off is Lieutenant Jeff Brown of the Hickory Grove Patrol Division. Lieutenant?
Good morning. As Lieutenant Fishback said, my name is Jeff Brown. I'm a Special Operations Lieutenant for the Hickory Grove Division, which is in the eastern part of Charlotte. Today we want to really discuss and detail the response that the division had and the CMPD had in regards to some truly heinous series of events that had a tragic outcome for many of our citizens and their families here in Charlotte. But what I really want to highlight is the great collaborative work by the officers and detectives within these divisions, Metro and Hickory Grove, and the Real-Time Crime Center. To highlight the events, September 5th, around 10:40 p.m. in the 200 block of North Tryon Street, a victim reported that he was stabbed with a bladed instrument in this block range by an unknown suspect. The following morning, around 11:30, which was September 6th, Metro Division officers responded to the 2700 block of Tuckasegee Road, reference to a very similar incident. The victim was cut with a bladed instrument by an unknown suspect. About 7 hours later, Hickory Grove Division officers responded to the 5300 block of, the 5100 block of Albemarle Road in regards to an assault. The officers responded to the scene, discovered that the incident actually occurred at a different location in the 6300 block Albemarle Road, which is a service station. The initial location of response was an urgent care facility. And during this investigation, the officers also learned that the victim had been assaulted by an unknown suspect with a bladed instrument. The victim in that case is 27-year-old William Burnham, and he was transported to a local hospital with life-threatening injuries. The investigation showed through this incident that the suspect laid in wait for the victim to exit the business before he assaulted him. The suspect then tried to attack a second party at this location, but they were able to avoid the assault by locking themselves in a vehicle. The involved patrol divisions of Hickory Grove and Metro Division collaborated together to begin the investigation. Through this investigation and by the work of division detectives, our Real-Time Crime Center, and patrol officers, they identified the suspect vehicle in this case. Through this continued investigation, a shift officer identified the suspect vehicle, as I said, and they continued their investigation. The suspect, who I will only mention one time in this incident, is going to be Brian Abraham Felice Ramirez, and he was listed as a suspect in these cases. On September 7th, the suspect responded to the Metro Division team office, where he wanted to report an unrelated hit and run that occurred in another part of the city. Officers of Metro Division immediately recognized as this being the suspect from a previous case, and they were able to take him into custody. And they took him into custody based off of surveillance footage that had been obtained through parts of this investigation. The suspect was interviewed by division detectives from Hickory Grove and Metro Division. The suspect was transferred to the custody of Mecklenburg Sheriff's Department, and at this time has been charged with attempted first-degree murder, assault with a deadly weapon inflicting serious injury, and 2 counts of assault with a deadly weapon intent to kill, inflicting serious injuries. Sadly, the following day, on September 8th, Mr. Burnham succumbed to his injuries of the assault and was pronounced deceased with his family at his side. This case is now classified as a homicide, which has been turned over to the CMPD, Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department Homicide Division. The investigation did not show any relation or commonality between any of the victims in these series of attacks. It doesn't appear there's a tangible motive for any of these attacks. But as sadly as it is, these detectives did a fantastic work to give the victims closure, to give the families closure of these events. They worked tirelessly and diligently on this investigation. They collaborated with a number of different units within the police department. And, I can't praise them enough. It's some of the best police work that I've seen in my 27 years, especially coming from a patrol division detectives, patrol shift officers coming together to give closure to these families. These officers worked tirelessly. They worked hard, and, they understood and understand the value of human life. And, and through this work and how they handled this investigation, we don't know how many other lives were prevented from being taken by the suspect. It's heartbreaking because there is no reason for these events to have occurred. And, no reason for any of this. And when you lose any life, that's tragic alone. But how these officers worked and how they worked together and collaborated between several different divisions, it just speaks volumes for them in a profession and their character. Thank you. Do we have any questions at this time? Specific to this individual case, we had 3 incidences scattered throughout the city, 1 in Central Division, and 1 in Metro, and 1 in Hickory Grove. Go ahead, Alana.
Yeah, on this case, how old is this suspect?
How old is the suspect? He is 29.
And were there any mental health issues that you guys determined, or I know you said there's really no rhyme or reason for that, but is there anything that's pointed you to why it might have happened?
No, ma'am. No reason.
Nope. Okay.
And before we move on, I just want to point out that we have representatives of not only the Hickory Grove Patrol Division, but also from the Metro Division. And we have a group of our detectives here. And as a resident of Charlotte-Mecklenburg and a father of children who live here, I recognize this could have been me. This could have been my wife, my family, being victimized by what we know to now be a completely random set of attacks on our citizens and neighbors. So I want to issue a personal thank you to those detectives for that hard work, that tireless work that led to the capture of this very dangerous individual. And to our media partners, I know we threw a lot of information out at you. We're going to send a post-press conference release to you that will have all those complaint numbers and the details that Lieutenant Brown went over. So be on the lookout for that in your inboxes as well. Before we conclude today, do we have any other questions?
Lana?
Miss Lana, how are you today?
I am great. How are you?
What do you have for us?
Wondering if we can switch topic to the shootout from last week. We're wondering if there's any update you guys can give. If you guys are still looking for teenage suspects, anything that schools are kind of involved.
Okay. And we have Lieutenant Brian Crum of the Homicide Unit to address that question.
Thanks.
Hey, just to make sure I understood the question was, do we have any updates regarding the investigation of Asaya's murder? At this time, we don't have anything specific, but what I can tell you is that the investigations continued. Obviously, we had some very public announcements we were able to make last week with charging 2 individuals with their involvement in that case, one for murder and one for accessory after the fact. After that time, we have continued working through the night and through these days, leveraging the combined resources of CMPD to continue furthering the investigation. I think you had a question about the nexus with the schools. We still believe that there is some nexus there, but we can't share any specifics at this point. Hopefully we can share some more positive information with you guys later this week.
Jonathan Lighthouse.
Hey, go ahead, John.
Are you still looking for teenagers, do you think?
I'm sorry, one more time?
So, yeah, I was wondering, are you still looking for teenagers or people who may be school age, since these 2 that you've arrested are in their 20s?
Yes, the question is, are we still looking for teenagers or people in their school-aged years? Because the 2 individuals we have arrested were in their 20s. Yes, at this time, we believe that's the case. Our initial information we shared is still accurate, but we can't share any specifics about those individuals at this time.
Jonathan Lighthouse.
Hey, Jonathan, go ahead.
Hey, kind of piggybacking off of Lana's question. You mentioned that 2 suspects you arrested, were above the age of 20. Like you said, you guys mentioned that it was connected to the hospital. I just wanted to clarify that you guys that it's still connected to the hospital.
So the question is, again, clarifying that we've made 2 arrests with individuals in their 20s, and is there still a connection with the high schools? Yes, we still believe those connections hold true. We just can't share any specifics about those individuals. We have a tremendous amount of information. We've been very fortunate to have a lot of people in the community and parents and everyone asking the important questions and sharing information with us, and we still believe those connections hold true. I just can't get into the specifics at this time, but as the investigation unfolds and we can share more information, I think you guys will understand a little bit better. Hey, Alana, go ahead.
Yeah, you probably just answered my next question. I was wondering if you could say how many others believe you're looking for. Can you say that?
The question is, how many more individuals are we looking for? I think we've all seen the video. There's obviously several other people on scene. We've only arrested 1 person that night, but it's hard to say specifically how many people are involved because we're just going to follow the investigation where it goes.
And then Jonathan.
Hey, Jonathan, go ahead.
It seems like that Kiev drive location kind of highlighted in both, last week's press conference where you mentioned that a house there was shot, and also one of the suspects you arrested lives on that, street. So I kind of wanted to know, is there any connection with that Kiev drive location?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've shared that pretty publicly. It's clear that there was, an ongoing dispute, and there were several incidents that were tied together. That's both the Kiev drive as well as, the case where Asaya lost his life. So these cases are clearly connected. I can't really share specifics with you at this point, but again, as the investigation unfolds, hopefully we can give you guys a little bit more information, a little more context. All right. Thank you, guys.
Again, thank you for joining us this morning. And to our media partners, as always, feel free to contact us at that CMPD PIO inbox and let us know how else we can help you out. Thank you, everyone.